Hello everyone, this is a psychic reading for January 2024. Luckily this month looks a lot more positive than the previous months, so it seems to be a good start to the year of 2024. So getting into Bitcoin, what I'm seeing for Bitcoin is also pretty positive. It seems that it could actually go up in the beginning of the month for the first half of the month, and it may even go to near 45k, maybe even higher potentially, but it looks pretty positive until mid-January, and then the middle of the month it seems like it could have a mini crash, if you want to call it that. It's not technically a crash, but it could just come down and kind of come back to where it started at, or maybe a little bit below that potentially, and then it seems to go back up again even higher. So overall it seems like a good month for Bitcoin. I do want to add some caution to this though, because it could come back down in February, so it can kind of trick some people if they're thinking they're going to catch the ride up at the end of the month. But then again, after February, it does seem that March could actually be very positive. That is the first part of the month. You may want to use caution with that as well, because towards the end of the month, or halfway through the month or so of March, Bitcoin could come down very drastically, and April looks like it could be a pretty difficult month for Bitcoin. And then from there it can start going up. Of course, I cover more of this in my year prediction, so you can watch that. I will have a link to that below the video, or it will show up at the end of the video somewhere. You can click for the full 2024 year psychic prediction video for that and more. Moving on to the rest of January, the first thing that was showing up was this very bright yellow energy, just kind of the energy of the month being very pleasant, and you could say joyful actually. And one of the visions that I saw representing what was happening for the month was actually a plant being watered, and it's as if people are finally getting what they've been needing for a while now. The last 3 months or so have been a little challenging, and it seems that that is finally switching. The holiday cheer of December. Now, when I did my reading on December, I didn't really see a whole lot of this holiday cheer energy, but for some reason it showed up more for January. So it's almost as if the energy of the holiday cheer is delayed, and it's kind of more so manifesting in the month of January. So it seems positive. When I was asking to see what's going on with this energy around the earth as a whole, I was seeing there being a lot of this energy that was kind of constrictive, that was in December and the months before that, but specifically in December, because we're talking about January, and how that is shifting and like kind of just blowing away, and the earth is kind of just starts glowing from this golden light from within the earth. And I was also getting the sense that this is really magnifying authenticity. So it's as if the earth is able to just radiate its own authentic energy, and this will influence people on the planet as well, and everyone will be able to radiate more of their authentic, true self. So it seems like a very positive time, um, especially after all of the energy shifting and difficult times that I've been discussing in the previous months. It seems like it's kind of all starting to pay off in January. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you can go back and watch my previous videos. So moving on to the news, what's going on with the world. And before I decided to tune into anything specifically, like I usually tune into, like, what about Russia, what about Ukraine, what about this, what about that, I wasn't tuning into anything in particular. Instead, I was just tuning into the earth and seeing whatever showed up first. And ironically, what showed up was actually Putin. And I was getting the sense that Putin and and Russia may be upping the ante, so to speak, towards the end of the month of February coming up here. Today is December 29th. And there being pressure being put on the US. And I saw an image of Putin on the phone as if he was speaking to the US, but other countries as well, and he was holding something ransom. Was the feeling, the sense that I got. Although I don't think that this is literally, I don't think he was literally holding the world ransom or holding anything for ransom, but more so it was just kind of the feeling, the sense of the situation. And I'm kind of guessing here, but my best guess would be that that feeling is associated with the fact that he's kind of strategically doing well, and he's basically got things under control. And if countries don't give a whole bunch more support, that being weapons, to Ukraine, then basically he knows that he's basically going to have the upper hand. And I think that's the situation that is playing out here. On some level, it's already happening if you've been reading the news, but I believe that that's what this is about, that I'm describing for what I see coming for February. So February, I was also seeing the U.S. does nothing really about this situation, and it causes Ukraine to suffer into the following months after January, further into the year of 2024. So, moving on to Israel, the first thing that I was seeing was just tons of Palestinians fleeing the country, and it looked just like bodies upon bodies upon bodies, just crazy amounts of people fleeing the country. And then I saw them going into Egypt. I didn't really see the countries exactly. I had to look at a map to figure out which countries they were, but they were like going south, down into Egypt, and then some of them were going into what was it? I wrote it down here somewhere. Jordan, and then going upwards, like going into Jordan and then moving north once they go into Jordan. And I got the sense that this is going to be a difficult situation for them continuing through January, but that it may start to slow down going into February as far as the bombing of the Palestinians and all of that. And I'm not 100% sure that this is connected, but I get the sense that there may be a connection with the Palestinians fleeing into Jordan and going further north, and then potentially there may be attacks on Israel from those areas from outside of Israel, from coming from other countries. And I'm not talking about the other countries attacking them. I'm talking about the Palestinians or Hamas being going to these other places and then attacking from different angles. So it doesn't seem to be a overly dramatic situation any more than what we've already seen. So it might not really even be that mentioned in the news, but I do see that being a big situation going on. Okay, moving on to Joe Biden. When I tune into Joe Biden, he just seems very happy, and the holiday cheer seems to be really in his vibration. He seems very, very positive, and he seems to be having a good time for January, and I got the sense that there's just no sense of alarm going on with him. It's always good to do a quick read on him to kind of get a gist of like maybe what's going on in the world, because he's a big kind of pivotal figure for many things happening in the world. Seems like no major sense of alarm, so that is a good sign. So, as I was saying, the first half of January looks very positive. The second half, and I would say maybe the third quarter more so. Second half, third quarter, somewhere around there. It seems that difficulties start to sink in a little more. And as I've been talking about in the past, with the energies shifting and new vibrations of energy, the frequency increasing, things like that, but at the same time more chaos and hardship and difficulty with adjusting to that. It seems that we're now in a position where we are really soaring in the first part of the month, because it's like everything's kind of finally clicking into place, and we're able to adjust more to these higher frequencies that we're not being bombarded with, because like too much change at once can be very difficult. And I mean that more so, well, anyway, but I'm specifically speaking on an energetic level when it comes to frequencies shifting. But now things are becoming much more stable and balanced, and it just looks like a very positive first half of the month. But again, the second half, there may be more economic awareness. People may be influenced more by difficult news, energy, and experiences infiltrating that positive energy around the economy, around finance, and around world news. And it's not just the news that's infiltrating that energy, it's also just the vibration of what's happening. So it's not just like if you ignore the news, then it won't be there. It's not quite like that. Although sometimes reading negative news can amplify it too. So it's not one or the other, it's kind of both, but it will happen regardless, either way. So this could also involve Putin, because I kept seeing Putin. I'm not sure if Putin is directly going to be involved in some sort of major news that's that big of a deal, but it just seems that Putin just keeps coming up for some reason, as if he may be influencing the psyche of world politics. And people are going to start noticing cracks in the world economy, and it will become more on the consciousness of people within the second half of the month. I was also getting around that time there could be some illness, like a disease that influences more poverty-stricken areas of the world. But I also wasn't getting that this is going to be the big deal that people may think it may be, because I was seeing that it mostly fades away going into February, although it may come back in March is what I was getting. But from there, it doesn't seem to get worse or continue at that rate. It seems to slowly dissipate, so I don't see it being a long-term epidemic, just in case that becomes a fear on people's minds. Okay, so the Earth is emitting this golden healing energy, as I've already said, and I'm seeing a lot of enthusiasm, just naturally people being very enthusiastic, and just this very positive energy overall. So I wanted to ask, what is this month good for? And what I got was doing what you want. It's a great month for doing what you want. And I know that sounds cliche, but many months I will say the opposite, or say something much different than that. But this is a good month for doing what you want. It's also a good month for doing what you want, following your dreams, following your heart, but also coming to conclusive action. And by that I mean coming to a conclusion. You may have been muddied in your thoughts about what you should do, and this is a great month for just deciding something, being like, you know what, I think I'm gonna go ahead and pull the trigger on this, so to speak, and go ahead and make this move that I've been thinking about but not sure. This is a good month for doing that. It's also a good month for creating intentions. I was also seeing an image of a L-shaped ruler. And I was getting the sense that this is good for taking measurements and reanalyzing what's going on in your life. So you may kind of have an outlook on where you're at and your future plans, but it may be good to reanalyze that, is what that was implying. Again, dreaming big. Don't be afraid to dream big. Creating new situations that can serve you far into the future. And this is also coming up specifically with family and friends, was how I was seeing it, but I was also getting the sense that this isn't necessarily friends that you have now. This can also be about making new friends. But it just seems like, as far as creating new situations that serve you far into the future, there's some sort of association with other people that is highlighted within that for this month. So those are what this month is good for, things that you can kind of lean towards a little more. Okay, so what is this month bad for? Things to avoid. The first thing that I saw was someone hanging themselves, as if they were kind of, seeing the negative and they were just, basically killing themselves because of these negative things. And I asked, what is that about? And what I got was negative self-talk. So that can be a thing, despite all the positive energy. It does seem that sometimes when things are really easy or positive, we can stifle ourselves and trip ourselves up with our own negative self-talk. So that is something to be aware of and be conscious of. I was also getting putting yourself in the corner and that representing self-limiting, so limiting yourself, basically. Uh, and I know these sound pretty standard, but a lot of months it's kind of the opposite, and a lot of the months I'm saying that the energy is saying that you should kind of tone things down a little bit, but that's not this month. So focusing on the negative, as I said, but specifically because your dreams are more likely to come true this month, so you don't want to miss out on that. Also, ignoring opportunities because you're trying to be more so-called realistic. So sometimes things can be better than you think. Again, going back to that L-shaped ruler that I was seeing, I was seeing this L-shaped ruler, and it was as if it was being bent and like slowly bending in, and there's just like pressure, and it was kind of like the world was behind it, gaining pressure, gaining more and more energy, and the ruler was being bent. Again, the ruler represents measurements and calculations and kind of what's possible, you could say, what's logically reasonable, and that was being bent. So the message of that was things may be possible that normally are not. So keep that in mind. To summarize, I would say January looks like a very good month, much better than the last few. And the final advice I would say would be to let your spirit soar. But when I asked specifically in my meditation for advice, what came to me was be yourself. You are your own power. So in other words, your power is you. And put into place what you want. And that is what I got for January 2024. Of course, I have a Patreon page you can join for free, for 1 week free. I talk about many things, Bitcoin. I do blind readings on many people. I don't know who they are until I'm done doing the reading, and then I research them and find out who it is, and then I do some more reading on that, and I discover many things about the world. I learn a lot myself doing that. Also, if you would like a private reading, you can always book a private reading with me at psychictide.com. The links will be below this video. If you cannot sign up for Patreon, there's also Ko-fi, which may work in different countries with possibly a better exchange rate for US dollars if you are looking for a membership. And I think that's just about all that I have to say for now. So yeah, I also have a 2024 prediction video. If you have not seen that yet, you can check that out. I will post the link to that below the video as well, and some videos will pop up around the screen around here, and you can check those out too. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.